Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel with absolutely no theme. Today I am reviewing the Hourglass palettes right here in that order. What I'm going to be doing is going through each palette, telling you about it, demoing it, and then I'm going to do my conclusion at the end, what I thought of each palette, and compare them to some of my earlier palettes, and then that's gonna be it. So that's the way I'm gonna do it. Please press that subscribe button. It would help me out loads. It would make me really happy. It's free. You can unsubscribe whenever you want. So please just press that button and ring that bell so you don't miss any of my future uploads. Continue with the video. Just me or no? Am I that pale that I'm just like, I bounce light? I am very, very excited. Just came out of the shower. It's a mess, whatever. I have the holiday collection of the Hourglass palettes. They arrived this weekend. I'm super excited to test these out. I have 2 out of the last 4 because one didn't really suit me at all, so I didn't get that one. And I have 2 out of the year before that, I think, which is the light and the dark. I don't know if there was a 3rd one on this, but this is the first year that I have, and they're supposedly dark. I don't know what deep dark person can use that as a powder, but you know, I think they got a lot of criticism for that one because I think they did a bit better skin tone wise with these ones. This is the medium palette, so that was the elephant palette. This is the tiger palette, which was the dark palette, and I absolutely love those. I cherish them. It doesn't really look like I touched them, but I've used them so much. That being said, we are going to get into these 3. I'm gonna make comparisons off of the ones I have. I've also compared the light one to the light butterfly palette last year off of pictures that I've seen other people post and pictures online and that kind of stuff, but I don't have that one within my possession myself, so I don't have the real life comparison. Now, the first palette, I'm reading off of the Hourglass site because they actually do disclose which palettes have new or already existing shades within their line, which I highly appreciate that they do that so that the customer can be, you know, prepared and make choices whether they think it's worth it or not, that kind of thing. This palette includes 3 best-selling shades, 2 finishing powders, and 1 blush, along with 3 brand new shades of blush, bronzer, and highlighter to diffuse, enhance, and add glow to the complexion. Sounds amazing, honestly. So they have these on these this year, like a kind of a package thingy, and this is what it looks like. It is incredibly beautiful. I think it looks really, really nice. That really, really light shade, I might use it as a highlight, like a soft highlight. I don't know otherwise what I'd really use it for. Otherwise, all of the other ones, love. Something that should also be said is that Hourglass does donate 5% of the annual profits from this specific collection, the collection of this, and that goes to the Non-Human Rights Project, which you can Google if you're interested in that. I just think it's neat that they do that. They do something along those lines. I don't remember if it's the same project each year, but they do that every year, which I think is incredible. So to lay down the grounds of the 3 palettes, there are 3 covers that is like the chosen cover for each one. You have the leopard one, you have the jellyfish one, and you have the snake one. Then there is an owl one that exclusively on the Hourglass website you can customize whichever palette you want the contents of, and you can choose to have the owl cover on top of that. I think the owl one looks incredible, but I bought these from a Swedish side to hopefully get them here faster, which they got here really fast, so thumbs up for that. Well, sorry, I'm picking them all out so that I have them in front of me. After I've tried them and everything, list my thoughts of how they've put up the palettes, the colors in the palettes, if they've done better with the inclusivity, that kind of thing. I'm going to do that at the end, so if you're interested in that, I'm gonna put the time up in the description so you can skip to that if you're not interested in seeing the swatches and me trying them on. So you can see I'm very pale or like flat right now because of the light. I don't know how to fix that. Okay, so we're gonna start with demoing this beautiful palette right here. I'm gonna wipe off every brush after every application, that type of thing, so that there isn't any crossovers. What is the first one? Diffused light is actually a little light for me right now, but I'm gonna put it at like the top of my cheeks. No, I'm not, because I want to try the highlight. I'm gonna do this on one side of my face, and then I'm gonna do the medium palette on the other side, and then I'm probably gonna have to take half of my makeup off and redo one half so that you can see the difference. That's probably gonna have to be how we do this, but I'm gonna powder a little bit, just like all over, with the diffused diffuse light and see how that goes. Hourglass powders are my absolute favorite product. I feel like I'm so washed out in this viewfinder. Like, can you actually see anything? I don't think you can. I'm doing that. I think it's a little better. Oh, I put it on both sides of my face. It's a little light for me. It's a little light. It's fine. It does more of a highlight type deal, definitely. I'm zooming in a little bit more. You can't see me better for that. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of a technical difficulty situation right now. Okay, I'm not sure if this helped. I tried to do it a little bit more fair so that you can actually see what's going on. I'm not sure you can though, can you? I think this is gonna be where we end up because it's taking, I'm taking too long. I am obviously going to try the bronzer out next. So the powder is on. It's looking shiny, kind of highlighty. A little bit. You know, this is the kind of powder that I avoid this area right here because I know that I get shiny. This area right here, this little triangle, I don't really put much on there. And sometimes I avoid this area a little bit. But otherwise, like high points of the cheeks, here, around the face, it just, once you go outside with these powders, it makes you look just so much more skin-like and flawless than you did before. I look very one-sided, no? Ooh, that helped. I found the thief in this whole thing. Oh, can't do that. No. Yeah, there we go. That's better. You can actually see me now. Yes. Going to use this bronzer right here. I think this might be the best way for you to actually see the product, so I'm gonna stick to it even if it doesn't look the best. I'm going to put the bronzer on from this one, but only on this side, and then we're gonna switch to this side for the medium palette. So I'm just picking up that with a fluffy brush. I can't actually see what I'm doing because it's too dark. I'm gonna have to turn these up and hope that you can see what's going on because I need to be able to see what's happening. I think this is a very beautiful shade. I think it's really complemented my skin really nicely. And I think for right now, obviously it's October in Sweden. It's been a very much not sunny summer as well, you know. Can I fix this on my camera somehow? That's better, right? That's way better. You can actually see what's going on now. I'm gonna have to do the intro over again and everything. I'm gonna do the close-up on the palette once more because I'm scared that that's gonna be too light. So this is what the Jellyfish palette looks like. This right here is a finishing powder diffuse light. We have a blush which is called Rose Fusion. We have a metallic strobe powder Opal in strobe light. We have a bronzer which is called Lunar Bronze. We have a blush diffused heat and finishing powder ethereal light. These two are existing shades within their line. Same with this blush, it is permanent. This bronzer, this blush, and this highlight is new and exclusive to these palettes. So those are completely new shades. I'm going to put a little bit more bronzer on so that you can see now that I fixed the brightness on this, but I think you can see that this color suits my skin tone right now very well. If I'm looking in the mirror like this, you could not tell that this is makeup. It looks very natural. It's not out there. It looks really good. Neither does it look unnatural. Like, it looks really natural, even like up close. I just love these mirrors. I've fingered this one. I have, once you say wrong ones, everything sounds wrong. But these mirrors are amazing. They're great. They're lovely. I love this bronzer and I want to use nothing but it. I love it. It looks so natural. It's not out there. It doesn't look muddy. It looks incredible. I love the undertone of it. Because this is new, I'm going to try the blush Rose Fusion right here because this one is already existing within their line. I wiped the brush off in between, so now there is the blush on there. That is pretty. Very pinky. I thought it was going to be more purpley. Maybe it reads more pink because of how light my skin is at the moment. I don't know. But I really enjoy that color. Actually, on camera, it looks more purpley than it does in the mirror. The lights that I have behind are more warm than this ring light that you see me mostly from. So that could also play into it. Maybe it looks more pinkish with warm light. I don't know. It's just a food for thought. I'm going to wipe it on around quite a lot so that you can really see it. I really like it. I enjoy a purple, and I don't actually use that many like really pink blushes. If they are, they're very natural. I love this. There isn't, you know what, why I like it so much? There isn't any shimmer in this one. A lot of Hourglass blushes have a little bit of shine to them, or like a sheen. Not so they're like shiny, it's not a highlight, but if you have any texture or anything, I kind of feel like I have to like very precisely avoid it. This one doesn't have any of that shine. It still looks very luminous and nice on the skin, but it doesn't have that like little shimmer so that any texture would show, which I really enjoy. I think that's a big plus, because now I can try the highlight and I can very precisely put that where I want it and choose for myself if there's a certain part or something that I want to avoid. It's a little harder with a blush, I think, because you kind of have to place it where you have to place it. So I'm picking up some of that highlight at the top. Oh, it looks very white. It might be a little light for me, actually. Yeah, it's a little on the light side, but it's not bad. It's not terrible. Like a month away or so, and I can wear it without a problem. I'm kind of strategically going on the pink bit more, because otherwise I think it would be a little sharp on me, where it wouldn't really look like it's from within. It would more so look like a white stripe on my face. But I think that is a beautiful highlight. I don't know if you can see that. I'm trying to angle my face, but I can't see when I angle it down if you can actually see it. But in person, it's really beautiful. It's actually quite, if I turn my head to the side, it looks a little white casty in this mirror. I don't know how the camera is picking that up. Maybe it's fine. Oh, I love it. I genuinely, like, I feel deep love for that palette so far. Now, I don't think I'm gonna highlight my nose with it, because I think that's gonna give it a white cast, because I think it's a little too light for the nose. I think on the cheek it's fine, no problem, no issue. I think it would look really pretty to just put this on the lid if you're just like going to work, doing nothing, because it's not like an eyeshadow in the sense that it's just like kapow, you know? I think it would look great on the lid, and just put some of that bronzer or that blush like in the crease or on around with it. I think that would be an incredible look for like an everyday. I'm definitely trying that out. Now, so far, very pleased with this one. I think it is genuinely geared towards what it says to be, like a light skin tone. I think they've done a good job with that. The light skin tone usually isn't the problem though. The light skin tone is usually the one that's fine. They usually got that down. But I think they've done it really well, where there is a versatility to this. I think they've done it beautifully. They're very beautiful colors, and I love this year that there are marbled options within the blushes, the highlights, and the bronzers, and the other ones in every palette. That wasn't the case last year. This didn't have any marbled options, and I love the marbled ones. I don't know why, I just think they move more. They look more skin-like. I love them. Moving on to the Tiger palette. Oh, yes, before I go, I'm gonna do y'all the favor of the... That is so satisfying. Oh, it's got like, can you see that like shading they've done there? Making it look like it's in water, like the sun is coming down. Beautiful. I honestly think these palettes each year, like, they're a work of art. They are so beautiful. Okay, Tiger palette. So excited for this one. This is really the one I think will suit my skin tone the best. Undertone wise, usually these lighter shades kind of look a little white casty, sometimes a little odd. Usually in the winter times, we're going into the winter months, we have almost entered them here in Sweden. That's perfectly fine, so I can still, you know, use them without a problem. And then in the summertime, I usually get really dark if I'm out in the sun, that kind of thing. Didn't get that dark this year. There wasn't much sun in Sweden. So I think this on an everyday all year round basis is going to be the one to suit my skin tone the best, with all the shades included. We have the finishing powder in dim light, which is existing and in the permanent line. We have the metallic strobe powder celestial strobe light, which is not in the permanent line, but it was released in the butterfly palette last year, so last year's winter collection, and also in the Blush and Glow, which was a launch that they did in spring. But so it's not in the permanent line, but it has been released 2 times within last year. And then we have the blush Mood Exposure, which is honestly one of my all-time favorite blushes. Like, I love this blush. I have it from Hourglass. It is in their permanent line. Then we have this blush, which is Iridescent Rose. It's a blush that I really enjoy. It was released in the Tiger palette last year, so it is not in the permanent line, but it has been released. It is not completely new. This blush right here is Ethereal Flush and is new. And this is the new shade for this palette. This palette only has one new shade, and it is this one. These two are not existing within the permanent line, but they're not new because they were released within the last year. The last one is a bronzer, Lustrous Bronze Light. That was really hard to say for some reason. And this is apparently, if you look on their website within their permanent line, I couldn't find it when I was looking for it within the like palettes that they had, but it says it is, so maybe it just like ran out or something. This mirror is a little hurt on the side. I just saw. That's not fun. The mirror right there on the edge. I don't think I can show you that. It's been a little weirdly glued in or like hurt a little bit. That's a little, it's never happened before. It would be a one-time thing, I think. So that concludes the Tiger palette. I am going to try that blush that is new, obviously. I can show you because I have the Tiger palette from last year, so they have put it not in the same spot, but you can see that that is the same. So that's interesting. They have put a bronzer that they put in their darkest palette last year in their medium palette this year, which is interesting, but it's right there. A blush isn't really, I think most people can use most blushes depending, you know, no matter skin tone, but obviously there is preferences to that and things that you can wear easier, or you know, which is easier, which is harder. So I'm gonna try this bronzer. I think it looks like it has this like olive undertone almost, which excites me. Oh, I accidentally dipped into that blush. That looked really pigmented when it was on the brush. This bronzer has a little bit of sheen on it. I don't think the other one did. I think that was completely matte. Let me check, which I think might be why I loved it. Yeah, there's a lot of matter. Obviously, Hourglass powders are never completely like flat matte. The whole thing is that they make you look alive. They make you look not so flat and like it's skin, like you're glowing from within. But they're not glittery by any means. If you're not, you know, looking at the highlights, they're glittery, like they're shiny. They are very shiny. Okay, I really like this bronzer. I have favorites from Hourglass when it comes to bronzers, like clear favorites. I think this one does a way better job at making me look more sun-kissed, and like this one is so natural and so beautiful. Do not get me, ooh, accidentally almost did that. And I love that about this one, but if I wanted a little more, obviously I could tone this down and make it more natural as well, but I just want to see like what it goes for, you know. I think this does a better job at being more versatile for me personally, and that's a skin tone thing, not a preference, or I mean it could be a preference thing, but it's mostly a skin tone thing. So for me personally, this bronzer right here is a little bit more versatile. I can, you know, tone it down, tone it up, that kind of thing. I would have to work more to make this look more like out there beat. Okay, so I'm obviously going to try the new blush. It looks, you know, quite dark. It looked really pigmented when I picked it up on the brush, which excites me a lot because that means that more people, you know, of different skin tones can wear it. I'm just tapping it on to begin with. That is really pretty. That is really, really pretty. And generally with Hourglass products, I shall say, there are no blushes so far that I have found lasts as well as Hourglass. I find that they last on my skin beautifully and they fade really beautifully. I think that's a really pretty pink. I obviously am very careful with it because like I did that on purpose to show you. It can be really, really bright. Oh, I love that. It's so pretty. I'm not usually I just almost died. Oh, good lord. I don't know what just happened. I'm not usually a huge fan of pink blush. Like I said, I love these more purpley leaning blushes. I really, really like the way that this looks, especially together with that bronzer. I think they marry really well. They look kind of stark in the viewfinder. I don't know if they look like that in person. They don't look like that in person. I don't know if they will look like that in the computer is what I meant to say. Oh! I really like it. I really like it. Obviously I'm gonna put the one highlighter that it is. I just realized I didn't use the powder. I have used this powder before. I use it a lot. I really like it. I think it's a really pretty, really pretty powder. I think if you ever make a mistake, if you ever make a mistake with your makeup and you're like, oh, I did too much bronzer, too much blush, these powders are a lifesaver. Just like go over it and marry everything together and it just turns into perfection. They are so pretty. I really like this palette so far. However, this is the one palette where there's only one new shade, even though these two aren't existing within the permanent line. If you have the other shades already, I have, I actually don't have the, I actually don't have this, I realize. I have the blush, because I have the Tiger palette, but I actually don't have the highlight, so that's going to be interesting to see how that lays. I think it's going to be really pretty, because I love a gold highlight. I obviously have nothing on my eyes, nothing at all to like kind of distract. Yeah, I really enjoy that. I think that suits my skin tone so well. The other one is really nice, and to be completely honest, this one is more like daytime work friendly. They're really, it's really, what's the word? It's way more natural on me. But in certain lights, it looks a little white casty. I don't know if the camera's picking that up. I don't feel like it is. It just looks more natural. This one, however, I think just looks like my skin is glowing. I feel like it suits my skin tone way better, but I really love it. However, I'm also a partial to a gold bronzer. Can't be too deep, obviously, but a gold light bronzer, no, highlight, not bronzer, is so beautiful. I absolutely love that. Okay, so far, best for my skin tone. I do like the blushes more in this one though. I love this blush so far. I think these are beautiful. So far I'm, those two are like kind of neck and neck. This one obviously a little bit higher because of the skin tone thing. I think the colors in it suits me really well. Next up, the Snake palette. I'm sorry to my sister for this palette. It looks a little, you know, snaky. She hates snakes. I should give you a close-up of what this is looking like right now. It's so pretty. So this is what the Snake palette is looking like. This is supposed to be the one for deep skin tones or deeper skin tones. I personally feel like it's more of a medium to deep. Maybe if you have a deep skin tone, will you please let me know in the comments if this is working for you. I'm a little skeptical. I think that the Tiger palette last year was deeper. Mainly I'm skeptical because of this like setting powder right here. I feel like this has more glow than their setting powders usually have. Maybe because they want to make it more versatile so that you can use it as more of a light highlight if you have a deeper complexion. But I find it a little bit odd to have a palette geared towards deep complexions with this light of a setting powder. Now that's my opinion. The only reason I find it weird is because I can use it and I'm not deep skin toned. And I don't mean I can use it like in the summer when I'm really tan. I could probably use this today. And it's October. So I find that a little odd. That's a little criticism from my end. Tell me if I'm wrong, if you know, but I don't think you will. I don't know. Yeah. This is the only existing shade in their permanent line. This is a finishing powder in Radiant Light. We have a blush the rest of these are all new. All of these are completely new and exclusive to these palettes, I assume. This is a blush in Coral Haze. This is a metallic strobe powder in Infinite Strobe Light. We have a blush in Sunbeam, which I assume it looks really shiny. I could probably, you know, that could be a lovely highlight on a really deep skin tone. It's just that powder that annoys me. And then we have another blush in Mystic Flush, and then we have a bronzer in Solar Bronze. I think this palette looks kind of similar to the palette last year, if I put them side by side like this. However, do you see the setting powder? This is the Tiger palette, this is the Snake palette. at the top. This is the setting powder of the tiger palette. This is the setting powder of the snake palette. This is the highlight. This is a highlight. I'm sorry. Okay, I don't mean to be like rude. I think actually, is that supposed to be the highlight? Is that the bronzer? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Blushed glow. It's supposed to be a blush. Okay. I think that's supposed to be the highlight. Yeah, this is supposed to be the highlight. I think this is a highlight to a really deep skin tone. I think this is I think they did that really, really well. I don't think they did it as well in this one. It's just not as well. I'm gonna take the makeup on this side of my face off and put some foundation back on so we can try this without a different base, you know? And I'll be right back. Okay, new fresh foundation on this side of the face, not on this side. This has kept the last palette. So this right here is the tiger palette, and the jellyfish palette is gone. It is no longer there. I powdered done everything the exact same way that I did earlier, except for the fact that it's touched up on fresh skin. There's nothing, you know, I didn't do the whole like moisturizer, that kind of thing, but I just used a makeup wipe. I don't know what's itching me. Yeah, I just used a makeup wipe and then I put it all back on, half of my face. Trying this, okay? I'm gonna have to be careful with this bronzer, but not as careful as the tiger palette. Okay, I need to stop. Actually, this isn't even a bronzer in the tiger palette. I use the setting powder when I have done the Christmas shows and been on stage, that kind of thing. I use this as a bronzer because you need to be like really out there to not look like a white ghost, essentially. Like me in the beginning of this video before I made the fucking lights work. I just think this is more geared towards deeper skin. I feel like this is like medium to deep, not deep to dark. Deep, you know what I mean? Does that make any sense? I don't know. I should stop. I'm gonna do that all later, okay? Okay, trying out the bronzer first, just like I did with the others. White brush off beforehand. Could do with all the brushes. Being a little bit more careful because this is really dark on me right now, but I really like the look of that. I love that undertone. It is so pretty. Now, how do I think that a deep dark palette is something that I should be able to use this easily? Maybe not. I really like this bronzer. I think it's really pretty. I'm a little sad that all the bronzers are just one plain color. Like there's no marbled bronzers in any of these. I don't remember if there was last year. Actually, I can't recall. Was there any last year? What was supposed to be the bronzer here? Metallic strobe highlighter. This didn't actually have a classified bronzer in it. And I don't remember the butterfly palette. I didn't get the butterfly palette, but I don't remember it having... I think it's a little sad that they don't have any of the marbled bronzers in any of the palettes. Save your thoughts for later. Learn how to do your fucking job. Okay, I did just that on my nose. I really like that bronzer. I think it suits my skin tone really well as a bronzer and a contour. I've used it more so as a contour than a bronzer. Can you see that? I think it's so pretty, honestly. I think that is really, really pretty. Can obviously not go overdo, but you know. Ooh, I should have wiped this side off as well so I could try more of the blushes. Because obviously all of these are new. Like these are all new. This is the only existing shades. I want to try all of them, but that's more of a highlight. I feel like all the highlights so far look kind of similar, no? They look like almost the same. Or no, obviously not this one, but the not all of them then. The Target palette, that one. Ooh, I don't know what to do. I really like their marbled ones. So I'm gonna try this first and then I'm gonna top it with this one and see how that looks. So I'm dipping into, I don't know the names of these yet. Coral Haze. I love a coral brush. Ooh, that is pretty pigmented, which is great since it's, you know, geared towards deeper skin tones as well. If there's any palette that's gonna sell out, I think it's this one because there's only one existing shades. Like everyone's gonna want to try the new ones. Jeez Louise, I really like that. Oh, I really like that. I think it's so pretty. Wow, that is so nice. It's matte as well. Like it's a matte one. As you can see when the light hits. When I say matte, Hourglass is never like flat matte, but they're matte as in there's no like shimmer in it, there's no glow in it other than, you know, their normal glowy formula. Now on top of that, I'm gonna go in with that powder. I have used this powder. I love this powder. I don't think it's a deep powder. This is like my all year round powder, so I don't know how it's in a deep dark palette. but you know. Oh, I love these palettes so much. Okay, I'm gonna top that blush with this one. Or should I do the highlight first so you see the highlight? It's a little deeper. It almost looks a little bit more olive in the undertone, or like a deeper, it's like a deeper gold than the others. I wonder if this is gonna give me a little bit of a cast. A tiny bit. Yeah, it does. It's a little deep for me right now, but I can still use it like as a normal highlight, which is great for me. It's so pretty. That is so pretty. I'm gonna put it on my nose because this is the last palette. I can do that now. Oh, it's so pretty. I love that. I'm gonna try this as a topper to that blush. Actually, I'm gonna show you the highlight first, what that looks like. And if I look on you straight on, it doesn't look in the viewfinder as if it gives me a little bit of a dark cast right here. It doesn't actually really look like in the mirror either. I thought it did. It's actually fine. Okay, trying that as a blush topper. Oh, it's so pretty. I'm gonna use this every Christmas show. Fuck me, that's nice. Oh, it's so beautiful. Oh, it's so pretty. If I do that, you can kind of see it a little better. Oh, it's so nice. It's such a good glow. I would put this like a little on the forehead and on the chin as well if I were to use it like everyday type thing. I actually don't think that's out there to not use on an everyday basis. I think that's so pretty. Wow. It's obviously a little dark right here. It's a little deep for me. This is more, you know, put together. This is a little much, but it's so pretty. Oh, I love it. I actually really love it. I can't stop staring at it. It looks really stark in there. It always looks more stark there than it does in person. But okay, I think I'm gonna wrap up my thoughts, and I will tell you all what I thought. I will do some comparisons to my other palettes that I own, and yeah, I'm gonna summarize my thoughts and the whole thing. I have them on. I may look a little lopsided and crazy, whatever. If you've watched the rest of the video, you know why. This is my conclusion of what I thought of the palettes individually and as a whole collection. When I viewed videos and looked at other people's butterfly palette from last year, I find it quite similar to the Jellyfish palette tone-wise, that whole thing. The only thing that really sticks out at me is that they have some of these cool tone blushes. I think there was one in the Tiger or the other one. Some of these more cool, more purpley tones. They didn't have that last year, which I personally really enjoy because I love the purple, cooler tones when it comes to blushes. But otherwise, I think that the Jellyfish palette is so beautiful. It's just really beautiful. I think it's so pretty. I think it's very versatile and incredible. It has everything you could ever want within one palette. It has two beautiful and quite different blushes for different occasions. Therefore, I think it's very versatile. And then it has these two setting powders. So if you're more fair or less fair, you can have that option, which I think is amazing. It's incredible. Excuse me. And then this bronzer, which I think is so pretty and just incredible. And I really hope that that becomes a permanent thing. For me personally, there's one shade in here that I don't think I will get as much use of because there's quite a small period in the year where it suits me. But I will still use it and I will still get use out of it. I'm going, like I did with another thing that I got that was a little light for me. I set my eyelids with it. Like I set my concealer with it, and it does that beautifully, and it gives this natural nice glow. Everything blends perfectly on top of it, and it's very nice. You get a little bit of a lighter base as well, which is lovely. Everything pops a little bit better eyeshadow wise. So for my conclusion of this, I think it is very well geared towards a lighter skin tone. I think they've done that perfect, and also very versatile and made so that you have everything you could ever need in one palette. I think this is a very well curated and beautiful palette, and I obviously love their formulas. Like I've spoken about that before. Praise them to the gods when it comes to formulas of their powders. Now, thoughts on the Tiger palette. I have the Elephant palette, so we can put them up against each other. Now, the Tiger palette is down here. This is the Elephant palette from last year. As you can see, looking at them, they look quite similar in tones and that whole thing. These two on camera looks almost identical. This is a little deeper, but they are really beautiful palettes. The only difference being the marbled shades, which I personally really enjoy because I find the marble shades to look incredible on anyone, and I think they give so much life. So I'm really happy that they included some marbled blushes in every single palette. this year, amazing. I think this is also a very well curated palette. I think this is going to be one of the palettes that is the most like universally flattering in the case of that this is gonna fit most people. I think it's gonna fit quite a wide skin tone range within that middle section, and also some of the lighter people. It might be this highlight that's too dark. Otherwise, I think you can use this perfectly fine because the powder isn't that deep. The highlight is going to be the problem if you're lighter, but otherwise I think this is quite universally flattering for that middle section of skin tones. I think it's a very well curated palette. I think all of them are very well curated, like looks wise. I think this year specifically, I think they all have a highlight, a powder, a bronzer, and blush. This one specifically has 3 pairs of blush, which I really enjoy because if the rest of these fit you, I feel like blush is the one thing that you switch up more. I really enjoy having options when it comes to my blush, depending on my eye look, depending on my clothes. I love this for that reason. I also really enjoy all of the blushes within this palette. I think they're beautiful. I love that bronzer. I'm a little sad that there is no marbled bronzer, but you know, that's a personal preference. Otherwise, I think this is a really good mid-range palette. Mid-range meaning skin tone wise. Really like this palette. This is the one that's going to suit me personally the most. I'm going to get the most use out of this. I absolutely enjoy it. I'm gonna get a lot of use out of all of them, don't get me wrong, but this is going to be, you know, the one that I get the most use out of every single shade and of, I'm not sure what I just said. I'm gonna get the most use out of that palette. Every single shade in that palette. That's what I meant. A lot of words at the same time. Snake palette. Let me just check what their website says. It doesn't really say if it's supposed to be geared towards like deep skin tones, but this is, I mean, the girl is like medium to deep on the pictures. It doesn't say anywhere that I can see that it's supposed to be really deep skin tones. I don't think we really hit that here, the deeper category of that. Obviously the blushes they can use. They could probably use this as the bronzer. Yeah, it's matte, so they could probably use that as a powder. The only thing with this one that like I have a criticism of is the fact that it's supposed to be like for the deeper skin tones, and this shade right here is supposed to be the powder shade. It is Radiant Light, which is the shade that I normally use like all year round, and I am definitely not deeper of a skin tone, which I find a little odd. I understand if you're thinking that you can like brighten up the middle of your eyes, that kind of thing. I don't use these powders that way, so for me personally that wouldn't work. I have a little bit more of an oilier skin tone, oh my god. I have a bit of an oilier skin type, so I avoid these areas like right here and right here, because if not it makes me look a little shiny and weird throughout the day. So I mostly use it for the rest of my face, and I find that this would be too light for almost anyone with a deeper skin tone to use like all over their face as a powder. Maybe it's sheer enough that it works. I don't know. If you have a deeper skin tone, please tell me below, like tell me if I'm wrong. I just look at it and find that it doesn't, for a deeper palette, it doesn't really fit for me personally. I obviously am not of deeper skin tones, I don't know, but it's just like a thought I had, like why is the powder so light when the Tiger palette had such a dark one? I should put them up next to each other again. This right here is what they look like next to each other. If I'm looking at this with these two, I would say this is a medium and this is a dark. Just looking at them like my first thought, because in the Tiger palette, this is the setting powder. This right here, this dark shade that I use as a bronzer on show nights when we've had the Christmas show and that kind of thing where it needs to be like intenser makeup. I've used this sparsely, and this is like blush toppers, that kind of thing. This right here to me is a medium-ish shade for a powder. I think with powder wise they did a lot better last year. I really enjoyed this as a deeper palette. I think this powder is a little bit too light to be in a deep palette. They did that a little bit better last year. You can still definitely see that the shades get darker throughout the palettes. I wish they just did this shade a little darker. That's my only like criticism. Otherwise, I love this palette. I think this could have been a little darker for the same reason. If you wanted to really include that really deeper side of the skin tones, I think both of these could have been darker. Otherwise, I love this palette. I think this is a little bit, that kind of more shows the actual shade of that. It looks really light because the light hits it, so that's not as light as it looks. You can see it on my face there. I think it's such a beautiful palette. palette. I love it. I will get so much use out of this. I absolutely adore this, the way that it looks. Absolutely. 100%. I adore it. I think it's more of a medium to a deep though, which I think I've said. So far, I love these palettes as a collection the best. I love the fact of the marble blushes, like I've said 10,000 times. The only thing is that I'm a little sad that there was no marbled bronzers in any of them. I don't think there wasn't last year either, I don't think, if I'm not mistaken. That's the only like, oh, why don't they do that I've like felt like I've missed. But that's kind of my conclusion of the palettes. Have I said how much they are? The palettes on the Hourglass websites are $90 each. So it is a penny, you know, to spend. However, I do think that if you're gonna get a holiday collection of anything, you're gonna get the Hourglass palettes. I think they are so versatile and you get so much bang for your buck. It's such a, you get so much for what you pay for when you buy these palettes. You get to try so many new shades, you get to try them out. This was the first thing that I ever bought from Hourglass, and I think it's the best thing I could have done because you get to try so much. And if you were to buy all of these powders on the regular site, you would pay a whole lot more. So I genuinely think that it is worth it if you're into makeup, if you use makeup, this is something that you love. If you love the Hourglass powders, I think it's a no-brainer. They're absolutely incredible. My camera is about to die, but they are so incredible. I do think they're worth it, and as a collector, they're absolutely worth it. But that's up to you how you spend your money. I'm just here to inform you of all the nooks and things about them. I think they perform up to par with everything else I've tried to them. Their standards of formula is right up there where it's usually at. I absolutely love them, and I would definitely recommend them. Would love for that deeper palette to be a little deeper next year if you're listening, Hourglass. I love all of them, but you know. So for me, it's a huge thumbs up for all of the 3 palettes, and that's my conclusion from this. I also love that they stuck with this format instead of going for the long one. I don't enjoy that. I just feel like if you can't use that, you've wasted so much of that money on that one shade if that's something that you're not going to use that much. So I love that they stuck with that. But that's all for me. If you love these palettes, go get them. If you've been thinking about it and don't really know if you thought the quality was there, it absolutely is. Go get them. Whether you want to spend that money or not is up to you, but now I've given you the information that I have so that you can make an informed decision on how you want to spend your money. My camera died during my little outro here. Outro? Outro. I could let my hair down now. The hair is a mess. We're gonna get rid of it. But my camera died, so I'm doing this on my phone. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please do subscribe. It's free. You can unsubscribe if you don't feel like, you know what, this was nothing for me. Just please press that button. It helps me out loads. But thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment, like the video, all of the above. Oh, and ring that bell so you don't miss any of my other uploads. This is what it's looking like from the phone camera. If it's any different, I don't know. I haven't put it into my computer, so I haven't seen it yet. But thank you so much for watching. That is it for me, and I will see you next time. Bye! Another thought I had that I completely forgot is that these 2 highlights, you see the one in the middle, at the one in the top middle, the one at the bottom, and then at the top corner up here, they look kind of similar. I feel like they're quite close to each other. This one is obviously a little bit deeper, but they are quite close in color and shade. So that's something to keep in mind if you're looking to purchase more than one, that they are quite similar. It's just a thought I had. I went in a little harder with that bronzer now. You could definitely build that up way deeper than it looks on me right now. Definitely possibility to build all of them up. I obviously went in like I would normally use them to see, you know, my normal thoughts, but you can definitely build them up to be much darker if that is your preference, if your skin tone is deeper. I went in very lightly with the snake one, and you can obviously be not as careful if you have a deeper skin tone than me, and I think that's gonna work fine for you. If you're really deep, I think you're sadly gonna need a deeper bronzer, but the one that is in there works perfectly fine in the shade that it is, and I love it. Honestly, been wearing it for a while now. I'm over the moon with these palettes. I am really happy with how they look. I'm so happy because I can already tell how much use I'm gonna get out of each one. I I'm just so in love with them, and it makes me really happy. I don't think I've been this happy with a purchase for a while. They're so beautiful, and I would strongly, highly recommend them. Was there an accent that came out? I think it did. Sorry about that. It's just also annoying. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Do you see this glow? I love them. They're so good. Okay, it is what it is. I don't feel like you can see me at all.